All right, so on the 17th of June 2020, it was announced that restaurants were permitted to serve sit-down patrons again during an advanced level of stage 3 lockdown in South Africa. And while this news came as a great relief for cash-strapped businesses, many people are still reluctant to have a sit-down meal at a restaurant and have doubts about whether it's safe to do so. This afternoon, we look at the ways in which you can lower the risk for COVID-19 when you're visiting your favorite restaurants, but also what precautionary measures these restaurants themselves are putting in place for your safety. Let's speak now to the CEO of the Restaurant Association of South Africa, Wendy Alberts. Wendy, thanks very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us.
All right, so it was a great relief to see the restaurants open again. How has business been?
It's not great. The industry is like a ghost town at the moment. There's a lot of complexities that we are faced with. We are struggling still with the liquor ban, as you well know. And we're also trying to mobilize the consumer and get the consumers back into our businesses.
Do you think people know that restaurants are open, or they're just unaware or just nervous?
I think a lot of restaurants have opened sporadically, so they've opened over the space of the last week. It's all been on cash flow, and I think also gearing towards the weekend would make a better time to open. So the last 2 weeks, we've certainly seen a whole spill of restaurants opening. One of the largest challenges we've got is the dining experience that we are giving to consumers. So they are feeling reluctant to come for a coffee shop experience when they want to have the full-plated wine and dine experience.
Yeah. All right, so the government handed out some guidelines as to what restaurants should do, and I just wonder, as an association, is this something that you've been monitoring to make sure people are complying?
I have to tell you, it's absolutely beautiful out there. The restaurants are open, the magic is on, the lights are on, the music is on, the staff are beautiful, they're all well trained, the PPE is in place, and it is not invasive, and they are giving top-class service, and they're certainly ensuring that they follow all the protocols. What we certainly do need is we need consumer support. We need our customers to come back into the restaurants. They need to know that we are welcoming them, that we are there with open arms, that we will continue to support them with the highest level of health and safety at all turns, and that there's no compromise from us in our restaurants for them to come and experience any occasion, celebration, a family meal, a breakfast, a lunch. Unfortunately, it is without alcohol at this time. There is no bring your own or no buying in the. You can buy in the restaurant, but you can't consume. No on-site consumption.
But are you happy that all the restaurants are complying with the regulations and the safety guidelines?
I have to say the last 19 weeks have led me to a field of different emotions, and I can say that the restaurateur has been one of the very few industries that really has displayed every level of compliance from the onset. You know, whatever government needed us to do as an industry, we stepped back and we did it. When government couldn't feed millions of people, we stepped in and we fed those people at our own expenses. When they asked us to be a delivery service, we are a delivery service at the expense of our businesses, giving the highest amount of our turnover to the delivery guys, the third-party delivery guys. When they asked us to do takeaway, we compromised our businesses yet again, and we had to become takeaway and delivery services. Then they changed our liquor license off to Ofcon, and they expected us to become bottle stores and compete with major retailers and bottle stores, which we simply can't do. Now they expect our sit-down restaurants to become coffee shops. I mean, there's no other industry. No supermarket had to change their structure. Government didn't say, sorry, your shoppers cannot use trolleys or not use baskets. Sorry, you can't use plastic bags. You know, but at every turn they've expected us to make allowances to support them in slowing down the curve, which we've done. And at every turn, we've only displayed the highest levels of health and hygiene protocols. So the whole fiasco that we're dealing with government and their inflexibility, and I think their disregard for our industry is appalling. And I think that there's a lot of answers that need to be given to us next week from COCTA and Minister of COCTA, and we're still going to continue to make the demands as to why alcohol has not been allowed to be served in restaurants.
All right, so you feel unfairly restricted in the way that things have been playing out with the authorities. All right, let's talk a little bit about restaurant goers. What kind of tips and advice can you give them to feel safer and be safer when they actually arrive at the restaurants?
Look, the worldwide trend is showing on statistics that, we're a medium level. So we know further at risk going to buy your groceries than what you are eating in a restaurant. All the protocols are in place, all the health and safety measurements are there. So it's really just about bringing the consumers back or the customers back without changing our business models. They want to come back and enjoy the full experience. Everybody's finances have had an adjustment, and they don't want to just come in and have a meal without a bottle of wine or without a beer, without the experience of it. Then they may as well stay at home and cook. And this is the consumer feedback that we've been given. So consumers that have been out have only applauded the restaurant.
Yeah.
We've had the most wonderful compliments.
So we're hearing, from other parts of the world, things like, you should sit outside and not inside. What's the position here in South Africa?
We're well prepared. South Africa's got a beautiful landscape. A lot of our restaurants have got massive outside spaces. We've seen around the world that they have, certainly in some countries where there's very small inside areas, moved onto the pavements and the curbs and done all of that. We've had discussions with the various municipalities. But a lot of our restaurants have got massive outside areas and they can accommodate that. Yeah. So the outside area is not our challenge. The landscape as well as the climate that we've got is not our challenge. Government is our challenge. And the inability for them to engage with us and to be able to look wholeheartedly at the devastation of the industry and stop what they're doing and actually recognize the decisions that they're taking is actually hurting businesses. And the amount of retrenchments that have taken place in the last week is phenomenal. And unless they have a consultative approach with us, and I can't say it's everybody, it's the Minister of Coxa, and she really needs to give us an opportunity to engage with her, to give a workable solution to rebuild the industry and to save the jobs and to save our restaurants. But to ignore us, to claim arrogance and not engage with us, to not even have the decency to respond to our letters. It took a week for Patel's officers to write back to us and say we're in the wrong ministerial cabinet.
It is interesting, though. We've seen some bars in South America, in North America, in the southern states, being closed as a result of COVID-19. Are you sure that there isn't a real concern about alcohol at restaurants?
It's a better place to be drinking alcohol in restaurants. In fact, the government should only allow alcohol to be drank in restaurants because it's in a controlled environment. Currently what's happening is that there's underground parties, there's no control with the alcohol, there's no social distancing, there's no details that are being recorded. And, we are not the industry that's responsible for the liquor disruption. And I think it's an unfair statement to claim that restaurants are responsible for filling up the hospitals. We don't even have alcohol at this time.
All right, and then perhaps, a simple thing like the menus. What's the situation there? Do we touch them? Do we hold them? What do we do?
Like I've said, the restaurants are amazing. They're beautiful people. They've done everything. They've got these cute little QR scans. They've got package knives and forks, some of them. The standards are phenomenal. I don't think anywhere in the world would you get better health and hygiene standards as what our restaurants are. And they are so prepared and so trained.
All right,
that is not the challenge. The challenge is just simply getting the liquor ban lifted in order to get consumers back into our businesses.
All right. In the meantime, us as people should go out and support our local restaurants and keep them in business and save jobs, I guess. Absolutely.
If I look around the world, there's no other country that has a liquor ban on restaurants where the consumer can't enjoy the full dining and experience of having both liquor and wine pairing. We look at poor wine farm restaurants. How do you go to a wine farm and not have a wine pairing experience? And there's hundreds of solutions that's been proposed to government to be able to curb the drinking issues. And also I think that, the authorities need to take responsibility and they need to answer why they haven't been on the roads checking for, alcohol limits, etc. And the reason why there's so much more is because there is no control at this point in time.
All right, Wendy Alberts, that's where we're going to have to leave it. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, and we certainly hope that your engagement with the Minister of Coxa bears some fruit. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that